Now I don't know how to turn on the screen because it's a new computer for me, as you know.
He just turned Mac this week, everybody.
2 days ago, actually.
2 days ago. Right, so...
Just run this presentation, yeah, so make it
You do know it's all
the
in
full
Russian,
screen.
right?
It's all in English. English.
I've had too much to drink. Okay, what button do you want me to press for you?
Make it the full screen. The full screen.
Where is that? Is that this one?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's coming.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm delighted to be here. It's actually a very rare opportunity for me and for team I represent here. Actually, I was preparing this presentation this night, so I obviously have issues with the time management. Besides that, I stagger, so that would be partly my communicational problem. I don't actually speak English too often, so that would be another problem. But I will try to overcome all this and deliver results of our work, of our team, that is actually doing something very similar to what you do here. Because when I met some of you in Dubrovnik about two years ago, that was when I learned of Douglas Engelbart, and I found out that there were many similar ideas in his work and in some philosophical and practical traditions we have in our work. So my position here, from what I'm going to speak to you, is of someone who is on one hand is translating something we are doing and our results, and also I'm trying to pull or push myself through this bottleneck and to connect to you in some real work. So I will speak a few minutes about different communities that I have either started or take a leader position in. There are 10 of them here at this picture, so I have decided to have 10 only. One is Global Education Future. Some of you know about that. There is a website. We have started as a team with a big foresight, which is the methodology we'll be working on tomorrow. So when we have created international community that works on boundaries of education, we have started this April to work on international scene. You could go up into this website and look in interactive map of education. There are 5,000 experts work behind it. And another thing is a community we call Community of Practice Developers, because our practice as of Community of Practice is actually to create communities of practice. We have several instruments there. One of them is interactive foresight maps. Another one is a portal which is open and free and non-commercial, that has all the functionality of social networks, of project work, of tagging text, of competencies, trajectories, and etc., etc. Besides everything, it has dashboard instruments built in, and now we have built-in collective bio-monitoring for teamwork into it also as well. This is the screen we use to monitor activities of different teams. So this is global Neuroweb group. Here, that's what the Neuroweb is. Yes, I see that there are only 5 minutes left. I will just jump through it, and if you see some keywords that you're interested in, then we'll talk during time we'll have. So this is the initiative we have started this about 3 years ago, and this year we had 3 big ships working on this topic. I think it was at least for a week. It was a big future-oriented event in Russia. I can guess, yes, we had these guys. They now know what Neuroweb is, also Prime Minister. There's also Direction, a community that works on the education that combines executive MBA style education with the inner practices, and we build different transitions from inner practices to outer practices. And my day work, where I spent most of the time is business school, actually the biggest in Russia and best, I think. So there is also education free, as we call it. This is a line that combines different approaches to education that we trying to take from all the traditions. This is the world skills Russia we have started 3 years ago. Now we implement inside all kinds of education for practical work, and you have seen these bracelets bio monitoring during the work. We are preparing teams for championships, and this is actually one of big projects we have. So these are there's also a group called Collective Cognition Technologists. We work with bracelets, with different kinds of methodologies, just a few pictures and schematics we use because I don't have time to go inside. There's also a website about our foresight projects. I've run about 100 of those, and my colleagues also did many of them. So here are some results. So what does if we look at these different directions of work, here are the keywords that connect them all. So, and this is something that I have found to be connecting themes in all of these directions of work. We here always speak about symbolic representation, but the focus of our work in many directions is actually the spot between symbolic and non-symbolic representations in every line of work we have. This is opposition between deep structure and surface structures. Chomsky did put it unconsciousness and consciousness, etc., etc. I won't go too deep into it. This is the basic structure of what we call Neuroweb interface. So we have deeper structures inside one's mind that can be accessed via brain-computer interface. They're also a logical part of the mind. There are also brain-computer interfaces, collective action, and another individuals on other side. On top of this, we have special brain-computer interfaces that we are working, and there's agent AI network on top of this. This is basic schematics for it, and how we put this together. Because it's about action, it's about communication, it's about cognition at the same time, and all of these are collective. This is the basic picture of how it works. These are some few pictures. They say that now these brain-computer interfaces are actually artificial agents inside them, and they're also objects that learn because they have artificial neural webs inside them. This is the diagrams about how do we connect to unconscious levels. We don't go into this. And main thing where we concentrate on is actually if we take a life cycle of the product, there's some stage that precedes idea formulation, whereas everything is fuzzy when we don't have yet symbols and ideas to put them into forms. And this is the place where we concentrate. So, and these are the main things and disciplines we bring into work about this. So it's collaborative engineering, mostly from system engineering approach. Some strategy building from more humanitarian part, which is strategy building in business. There's technological environment issues. So, and these are kinds of specialists we are working with on these issues. These are artificial networks part where we use calculations from this kind of neuro. It's not live neuro, it's artificial neuro. Okay, 1 minute. This is something we call cognitive architecture stack, which is equivalent to internet stack, but for cognitive architectures. So application level. This is if you will Google deep learning, you will see lots of practical implications of some of these kinds of architecture. So only deep learning we are slowly leaving symbolic and semantic engines towards deep learning diffused cognition platforms. Algorithms, calculating algorithms. I'm going fast. This is very important part because there are lots of knowledge about how does this transition between subtle and inner structures work. This is actually some schematic of how this demo would look, hopefully in 3 years if we make it in time. These two parts of it. It will be, this is obvious thing also taken from system engineering that says that we need different positions. Yes, I know that I'm out of time. We also use different roles and positions in amplification of our work in business school, and this is also part of it. So we have this engine going in time with the position changing all the time, and all different kinds of interfaces support the communication and collective work. So there's some more information about this, and I'm done. I know that was a machine gun style presentation, but I hope that at least something you got interested in enough to talk afterwards. Okay, any questions? Seems that I didn't get a message across.
So Timour, from before, I know that you have done some work on tapping into being able to bring in a lot more data at once from the visual cues by a particular kind of training, the neural network, feedback loop, brain, whatever.
Say it again, I didn't get
the way we had talked before about there's a particular way that you have created basically a biofeedback, neural feedback loop for being able to get a lot more input from your visual scenes to learn much faster. Yes?
I'm not sure if I understand you right, but yes, we had also methods for so-called visual adaptive animated languages that we use to actually, it looks like this. We have a group and then use a special animation tool to create a visual language, for example, to deliver a cross communication between different people, such things as, for example, how to write with the left hand. And they would create special languages that enable in the group to actually learn in a matter of hours how to write with the left hand if you don't know how to do it, by creating special languages that especially created for this body sensation communication thing.
And so, and as I recall too, it was also a way of allowing far more input to be screened and realized in the brain. So that's my perhaps misstatement of it. But I have, the question is,
okay, I think I know what you're talking about, yes.
Who has...
Now,
so,
finally.
But I think the question will still stand. Who's been adopting these kinds of trainings? And very specifically, have you been finding a different interest rate in, say, artists versus scientists versus other sectors? Like, where is the feedback loop for embracing what you bring in that domain of faster learning?
Actually, that's a very good question, because yes, I've been working with science art, just because it seems that this kind of position between science and art is most receptive for this new kind of approaches. Another one is actually business school or business community, because that's when if there's a technology that makes productive communication more productive, then it's used. I'm out of time. Thank you.
Thank you.